Welcome to World History, Unit 2, The Classical Civilizations, Lesson 1, Ancient Greece, Part 1. Our essential question for this lesson: how did classical civilizations gain, consolidate, maintain, and lose their power? How do empires grow and dominate? Our agenda. Our goal statement: I will describe the location of the Greek civilizations and how geography impacts the ancient Greeks, how the city states differ from each other. Let's begin. Classical Greece. The history and culture of classical Greece has a significant impact on the modern world. Our essential question for this unit in the textbook, which is Module 5, why might the modern world be interested in the history, culture, and civilizations of ancient Greece? This unit is long. We have 6 lessons. Let's get started. Cultures of the mountains and the sea. Lesson 1. The roots of Greek culture are based on interaction between or among the Mycenaean, Minoan, and Dorian cultures. The cultures of the mountains and the sea. Geography shapes the Greek life and the collection of separate lands where Greek speaking people lived, including the mainland and about 2,000 islands. The sea shapes Greek civilization, and its proximity to the sea, with the lack of resources, encouraged travel and trade. And as you can see, the typography or the environment of Greece is rocky, hilly, mountainous, and surrounded by salt water or seas. When you look at this map is about circa 750 BCE or BC. You see that this area is in the southern part of Europe. This is Europe. And then on the eastern side, you see Asia Minor. So it's the section of the continents where Asia and Europe meet. The Mediterranean Sea um, is right along the south part of this area. You have a very large island by the name of Crete with Knossos as the capital. You have all these little islands, and you can't really see all of them, but this map kind of gives you a visual of the larger islands. In the inside between Asia and Europe is the Aegean Sea. Outside of Greece on the western side, you have the Ionian Sea and the Sea of Marmara up here in the northern section, right where the land bridge is, where Turkey, present day Turkey, at that time, it would be considered, it wasn't at that time yet, but it'll be definitely the Byzantine Empire, Constantinople, that area. This is the land bridge there. You see the city of Troy, the location. And in Asia Minor, we're going to look at some of the other cities that are there, including Ephesus and Colossus and these different places. Um, you have Athens, Thebes, and Sparta and Corinth, and Mycenae here in the western section, and the Gulf of Corinth under right south of Delphi. This is called the Balkan Peninsula. You have Peloponnesus, which you have the Peloponnesus War later on between the Athenians and the Spartans and the Persians. And you see where the water goes up into a mountain crevice, and you see these crevices up into the mountainous areas, and these are natural fortifications against invasion for the people of Sparta. Although the Persians do try to take over Greece. We're going to see what happens later. All right. If you look at the globe up in the right corner here, you notice that all this is taking place north of Africa. A lot of the influences of ancient Greece come from Africa, specifically from Egypt. All right, let's take a look. The geography shapes Greek life. The land. Mountains slow travel in ancient Greece because of the mountain areas. It's difficult for people to travel fast. The mountains also divide the land into regions. Lack of fertile land leads to small populations and the need for colonies. So, because they don't have a lot of arable land for farming because it's rocky, they have to figure out a way to find arable land, and that leads them to go outside of their areas. The climate in ancient Greece is moderate climate and it promotes outdoor life. Greek men, especially, spend much of their time outside. The Mycenaean civilization develops. Now, the Mycenaeans are an Indo European group who settled on Greek mainland in about 2000 BC. They took their name from the leading city, Mycenae, and Mycenaean warrior kings dominated Greece from 1600 to 1100 BC, and that's about 500 years. The contact with the Minoans is very important to the history of ancient Greece. After 1500 BC, the Mycenaeans adopt the Minoan sea trade and culture. The Trojan War also happens, and it is a war fought by the Mycenaeans against the city of Troy in 1200s BC. And it was once thought to be fictional, but there's archaeological evidence that has been found to substantiate the story. So, therefore, the story, according to the artifacts, is true. Here's a picture of Mycenae or Mycenae, which is in ancient Greek city. The Greek culture declines under the Dorians, so the Mycenaean civilization collapses around 1200 BC. The Dorians, possibly relatives of Bronze Age Greeks, move into Greece. And they are less advanced than the Mycenaeans, but the Dorians leave no written records. The epics of Homer. The oral tradition grows, especially the epics of Homer, a blind storyteller. An epic is a narrative poem about heroic deeds. Homer's epic, the Iliad, about the Trojan War, shows the Greek heroic ideal. And there's a statue of Homer in Greece. Greek culture also declines under the Dorians. The Greeks create myths, and these myths are developed. And myths are basically traditional stories about gods and goddesses. Greeks seek to understand mysteries of life through these myths, and the Greeks attribute human qualities, including love, hate, jealousy, to their idols or gods. Zeus is the ruler of the gods in these mythical tales, and he lives on Mount Olympus with his wife Hera, and Zeus's daughter is Athena. She's a goddess of wisdom and a guardian of cities. So Athens is named after Athena, the daughter of Zeus. And here's a statue of Zeus that's in a museum in Europe. For this lesson one, the main key terms of vocabulary: Mycenaean, Trojan War, Dorian, Homer, epic, and myth. How did classical civilizations gain, consolidate, maintain, and lose their power? How do empires grow and dominate? So let's continue on studying this a little bit more and then we'll answer it. So let's talk about the warring city states. The growth of city states in Greece led to the development of several political systems, including democracy. Rule and order in the Greek city states um, happened by 750 BC in the Greek city state or polis. A polis is a city. Where have you heard the word polis before? Well, think about it. Kannapolis, Indianapolis, right? So, m- me- metropolitan, metropolis. So many words we use about cities have the word polis in them. In English, Acropolis. Um, so you see these words and like, where do these words come from? Where they come from the Greek, and the Greek city was called a polis, and it has surrounding villages. So 50 to 500 square miles um, of the city, and these cities had a population of often less than about 10,000 people. Remember, they didn't have a lot of arable land, so they couldn't hold large thousands and thousands and thousands of people, populations, just like the Mesopotamia area, because Mesopotamia area was actually in the Fertile Crescent. So there was a lot of water. You have two rivers, and they could hold 30,000, 50,000 people in a city. Whereas the city states of Greece could not hold that many people because they didn't have enough food to feed them. The citizens gather in the marketplaces and the Acropolis, which is a fortified hilltop. And you see the hilltop in this picture where the cityscapes are all around this hilltop area and it's fortified. Greek political structures. City states often have different forms of government. For example, a monarchy. Now, when we talk about a monarchy, it is the definition of a monarchy is ruled by a king. Remember, mono means one. So, mono is one, archy is like government, ruled by one, monarchy. Aristocracy is ruled by nobility, and oligarchy is ruled by a small group of powerful merchants and artisans. Oligarchy, all right, and oligarch means one. So, sorry, means small, not one, but small. Tyrants seize the power, and rulers and common people clash in many city states. Tyrants are nobles and wealthy citizens who win support of the common people, and they seize control and rule in the interest of ordinary people. So at first tyrants were seen as someone that was good and for the people. Of course, absolute power, someone once said, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So this absolute power becomes corrupt at some point. Athens built a limited democracy. In order to avoid major political upheavals through reforms, the reformers moved towards democracy. And democracy basically means the rule by the people. Athenian citizens participated directly in government, and they built democracies. First, this first step towards democracy in 621 BC. A nobleman by the name of Draco develops a legal code based on equality of citizens. Legal code, Hammurabi's code, was the first. So you see the influences of the other city states, the other river valley civilizations. You see the impact and influences of the other organized governments from the other nation states, or river valley civilizations on ancient Greece. So not only do you have an influence from ancient Egypt, but you also have an influence from Mesopotamia. Okay. And with this, you have codified laws as an influence. Okay. And it worsens the tensions between the rich and the poor. Remember, we talked about the Hammurabi's Code and how the rich had a little bit more influence and advancement when it comes, or advantages when it comes to the legal code of Hammurabi, and the poor, well, sometimes they paid with their life when they committed a crime, and the rich would just pay, silver coins in order to get out of the criminal case. So um, the rich and the poor clashed because of these laws. Okay, and the social structure also centered around this democracy. So Solon comes to power in 594 BC, and he introduces democratic reforms. He outlaws debt slavery, which is a good thing. The top three classes could hold political office, and all citizens could participate in the assembly. Any citizen could bring charges against wrongdoers. So, further reforms, Cleanthes introduces more reforms around 500 BC and allows all citizens to submit laws, create Council of 500, and all citizens participate in limited democracy. Only free adult males were citizens. Whoa, wait a minute. So all citizens could participate in the assembly. Any citizen could bring charges against wrongdoers, but that doesn't include women, children, or slaves, right? So that's where the problem lies when you have only a certain segment of the population who are able to contribute to the democracy or the democratic process. Athens builds a limited democracy. The Athenian education included schooling only for sons of the wealthy families. So that means that sons of poor families did not get an education in general. Girls learned from their mothers and other female members of the household. And here's an actual painting that's on a wall um, in Greece that's been preserved for us to see. Sparta built a military state, and Sparta is isolated from much of Greece and builds its own military state. The Spartans dominate the area, and around 725 BC, Sparta conquers Messenia. Messenians become Helots. So once they're conquered, the Messenians are conquered by the Spartans. They become Helots, which are peasants forced to farm on the land. So they basically become, um, uh, you know, servants to the Spartans. And the harsh rule leads the Messenian revolt, and the Spartans built a stronger state because of it. The Spartan government and society. With Spartan government, there are several branches, and citizens elect the officials. Different social groups include citizens, free non-citizens, and helots or slaves. Spartan daily life. The Spartan values of duty, strength, individuality, discipline over freedom were very important to the Spartan people. Sparta has the most important, powerful army in Greece, and the males move into barracks at age 7 to train until the age of 30, and they serve until the age of 60. So basically, their entire life. Girls receive some military training and live hardy lives. Girls also are taught the value of service to Sparta above all else. Something interesting, girls are also taught gymnastics, and they felt that a strong body of a woman would help breed strong males for Sparta. The Persian Wars. A new kind of army emerges. Cheaper iron replaces bronze. making arms and armor cheaper, and leads to a new kind of army, which includes soldiers from all classes. A phalanx is a very important formation that the soldiers made with their spears and their shields in order to protect themselves during the fighting. The battle in Marathon, and this was a very important battle. The Persian Wars between the Greeks and the Persians began in Ionia, Ionia. The Persian army attacks Athens and is defeated at Marathon in 490 BC. Phidippides brings the news. He's a runner who races to Athens to announce the Greek victory, and he does die once he gets there and announces it. But this is where you get the term marathon from. Here's a picture of the Spartans about to fight the Persians. Um, Thermopylae and and Salamis in 480 BC, the Persians launch a new invasion of Greece, and the Greeks are divided. Many stay neutral or side with the Persians, and the Greeks' forces hold Thermopylae for 3 days before retreating. The Athenians defeat the Persians at sea near the island of Salamis, and victories in Salamis and Plataea forced the Persians to retreat. So many city states from the Delian League and they continue to fight the Persians, and they are relentless. The Spartans work very hard to uh, defeat the Persians. The consequences of the Persian Wars include new self-confidence in Greece due to the victory, and the Athens emerges Athens emerges as a leader of the Delian League, and Athens controls the league by forcing using force against the opponents, and the league members essentially become provinces of the Athenian Empire. The stage is now set for a dazzling burst of creativity in Athens. So, how did the classical civilizations gain, consolidate, maintain, and lose their power? How do empires grow and dominate? You can pause this video and think about what that means. All right, the key terms of vocabulary: polis, acropolis, monarchy, aristocracy, oligarchy, tyrant, democracy, helot, phalanx, and Persian Wars. All right, thank you very much. And we're going to go continue with this on part 2.